Let's go ahead and get started, folks. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you're joining us from today in the world. And I want to welcome you to today's webcast. Just in case you don't know who I am, my name is Len Thompson, and I am Broadcom's Mainframe Division Community Manager. And again, I want to welcome you. Before I hand you off to Elliot and the team, I just want to let you know that we are recording today's session, which is why your lines are all currently muted. If you have questions along the way, and we hope you do, please use the questions box along the right side of your screen under the GoToWebinar control panel to ask them, and we'll get through as many of those as we can today. And if there are any that we can't get to today, I'll make sure that the team gets all the information it needs to follow up with you after the session. The replay of today's session will be posted out in the CA Broadcom mainframe software community, either later today or tomorrow morning. And the last thing from me is that we are always trying to make sure these sessions are valuable. So with that in mind, I pulled together a quick survey that will pop up at the end of the session. So if you can give us another minute or two of your time to give us some feedback, that would be really great. So with all my stuff out of the way, I'm going to hand you off to Elliot. So take it away, sir.
Thank you, Len. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Elliot Jally, and together with my colleagues Peter Weinfurt and Dawn Demore, we're going to talk a little bit about maintenance today, and specifically with the launch of a new function inside zOSMF called software update, which is a new maintenance function coming. We're going to focus on some of the prerequisites that you need to address to be able to use that new function. So we're going to give you a few tips and tricks about how to resolve those quickly and simply, so that you can immediately get right down to using a software update. So just before we get into the details, just a quick reminder here. I'm sure some of you are familiar with this, but we have been doing over the course of the year a number of webinars on the topic of software management. So my colleague Jan Siller gave at the beginning of the year a kind of overview of software management and what that means. And then we got into some of the specifics. So we then did a second webinar on software update, which was followed by one on configuration, which means workflows in zOSMF. And then finally, we covered acquisition and deployment. So all of those recordings are available. You'll find them on communities. So please feel free to go back to those if you want to go a bit deeper into any of these individual subjects. Good. So for today, we're going to start with software update. Then we're going to move over to receive order, and finally some details on product information files. So software update. So just very quickly, in case one or two of you are new to the term software update. So what it is as I mentioned at the top of the presentation, it's an additional function going into zOSMF, and it's gonna offer kind of a dialogue-driven or a wizard, if you like, PTF installation for SMPE service. So there are, to illustrate that, there are three specific, I guess, use cases that this would target. So the first of those being corrective service. So if you just wanted to install a software update, on an ad hoc basis, just to fix a problem, so you could open up zOSMF, go into software update, and again, select the PTF that you want to install, and then you'll be guided through that install process, including any hold data resolution. So that's the kind of very basic first use case corrective service. You could also use it for recommended service. So at Broadcom, we refer to recommended service as CARs. So it allows you to install the latest CARs. And then finally, functional service, otherwise known as a fixed cat update. So software update, it's something that we've been collaborating on with specifically with IBM, given that it's going into zOSMF, but also with all the other vendors. So it is you should be able to apply maintenance from any vendor via software update. So we are we are on the verge of making this generally available. So hopefully you'll see the PTFs for zOSMF in 2020, which would enable software update within software management inside of zOSMF. And once it's there, there's no need for any additional configuration. It'll just be an additional function within zOSMF. So today we just want to focus a little bit on some of the prerequisites that you'll need to resolve before you actually start using software update. So the first bullet point, obviously it is obvious, but it's a function within zOSMF. So you just need to make sure that you have zOSMF up and running in your environment, and that you have the necessary access rights to be able to use software management within zOSMF. So that's hopefully something that you could if you haven't already, that you could arrange with your system administrators within your organization. The second prerequisite, which we're going to talk about here, is zOSMF needs to be aware of your SMPE environments to be able to, for you to be able to maintain them. It needs to know about them. So they need to be registered with zOSMF. So, IBM have some documentation on how to do this. But what we've done is we've actually tried to make that an easier process. If you're an existing MSM user, and you want to try this out in zOSMF, so we've built a utility that's going to allow you to register multiple CSIs in one shot, and that's the demo that Petter is going to give in a little moment. And then finally, the third bullet point you see there is, you do need to make sure you've received all your PTFs and hold data recommended service into your global zone. That's something that you need to do before you can actually proceed with a maintenance process within software update. And again, Dawn is going to talk a little bit about receive order and how that makes that particular step fairly straightforward. So we're going to get into now the migration utility that we've built. So again, this is something that's going to allow you to register in one go, whatever SMPE environments that you want to maintain via zOSMF. So this is something that you'll find in as a knowledge base article. So I've put a link right there, but essentially what that is an article with some scripts attached. So it's not long. It's maybe a one page just to tell you what's attached, what it does, each script, and how to actually run those. And that is that's the utility which will allow you to migrate these environments into zOSMF. So without further ado, I think we're going to go straight to Petter, who's going to actually show you what that looks like and how that works. So Petter, I'm going to hand over the presentation to you right now.
Okay, thank you, Elliot. That was a nice introduction. Hopefully you see my screen. My name is Petter Weinfurt, and I'd like to demonstrate you the easier way how to register software instances into zOSMF. So without that, let me just show you what you would normally do inside the software management. You would probably need to go one by one and follow the UI wizard, which will guide you through the process of registering a software instance, which is SMP environment. So you need to provide some name of the software instance, probably some description, select the system name where this software instance will reside, and select this global zone, etc., etc. And it's quite lengthy process even for one one software instance. So obviously you are free to do like that, but if you will have like 20, 100 SMP environments, it's gonna be very long process. So let me just show you what we figure out how to do that quickly and easily. Basically, we came up with the migration tool, which consists of 2 steps. One step is to get the information from the CA Horus Software Manager, which I can show you what I've it here. We have lots of SMP environments, and lots of them are used, and we would like to register all of them into the zOSMF software management. So first of all, back to the migration tool. If you download it and copy it over to your mainframe, you would get 3 members or 3 scripts, let's say, where the first one is called CSM RPSQL, which does a simple SQL query. I can show it. Oh, sorry, I can show it right here. It just do the select query from the CSI data table in the CSM database, and it fetches the CSI name and CSI dataset. That's all what we need from the CSM in order to register the software, the SMP environment into zOSMF software instance. So let me just run this. First of all, modify the JCL in order to make it runnable in my system. I just copy over a job card, and this one can delete. I need to provide high-level qualifier for my CSM Datacom libraries, which in my case resides in this data set. I can maybe I can show it to you how it looks like in running CSM. Here I have 3 CSM started task, where the CSM SRV is the Datacom database, and looking to the just JCL output, I can see my step libraries are in this data set, and these we need to refer. So back to my JCL. So this is my step libraries for Datacom, and the second thing we need to provide is an output where the data will be written. So I would use same prefix and just output dataset. This dataset will be always created when you run the tool, and I'm ready to submit that job. So let's do it right now. Submit it, and CC 0, so everything is fine. And if I go back to dataset list, refresh, I see the output dataset created, and this is the result. It's just a simple table. The first item is this SMP environment name, and the second item is the CSI dataset. That's all what we need for zOSMF. For the sake of time, let me just delete some of them so that we will not wait for a long time for registering all of them. So let me just delete the majority of them. So we will be migrating the just five SMP environments here now. Basically, you can modify that output whatever you need. Maybe you would like to change the names of the SMP environments. Maybe you would like to add something which is not in CSM. So you would just need to, you can do whatever you would like with this output directory. Okay, so that's first part. And the second part is the actual registration into zOSMF. So back to the migration tool, we have created one rec script which is called CSM to zOSMF or zOSM. And the second rec script, list TGZ, is just let's say recs additional recs procedure which is used inside this main one. So you just need to focus on this CSM to zOSM recs. Let me just open it. There's a whole description how this recs should be used. Basically, what this recs does is it invokes a REST API against running zOSMF instance, and using this REST API, it registers each SMP environment one by one. In order to use it in your system, you need to provide several parameters. You need to provide zOSMF URI, which I already provided that here. You need to provide your zOSMF URI, a port where this zOSMF instance is running. You need to say which user will be the one who will be registering the zOSMF software instance. Usually it must have control privileges over the software management resources in your SAF system. You need to provide the name of the zOSMF system, which in my case is XC04, and also the SAF keyring. The SAF keyring is important because it's used for the HTTP REST calls, and because zOSMF is running under HTTPS, secured HTTP, it must also use the same keyring. And the last thing you need to provide is the actual output directory which was generated by the JCL, which I just submitted moments ago. And that's it. When you fill this in, you can easily execute it. And the first thing which will ask you is to provide password for the user you specified inside the recs. This is needed, and we don't even know how to make it it's more secure, so the password will be readable. So do it in secure environment, I would say. So I would just provide the password here. And now I should provide also a dataset name where I will see the migration summary report, which you can then refer to at the end of the process, where we'll see the results, how it went. So let's say this, and now the whole process is starting. What it does, it uses the second recs for getting the target zone names, and all target zone names should be registered inside the zOSMF software management as a software instance. You can watch these outputs and read what's going on. Basically, every time you will see what parameters are used, what payloads are sent via the REST API to the zOSMF, and some additional information. And at the end of the process, you should also see the migration summary report. It's coming here already. So it says that 5 CSIs were migrated and nothing was skipped. It may happen that some CSIs may be skipped because you as a user who executed the tracks, you don't have access rights to the data sets, or they are not available, they are maybe archived or things like that. So there are various reasons why these why the CSIs can be skipped or not migrated. Okay, so this Rex is done. If I go back to dataset list, refresh, and this report dataset was created, and I can later on review what went okay, what went wrong, and see. Now, getting back to the zOSMF, I still have an empty list here, but if I refresh here now, I see that I migrated 5 CSIs or SMP environments from my CA-CSM instance. I can maybe just for information, we are putting this added by CSM to zOSM exec description to each instance so that it's easily identifiable if you have already some other software instances. And yeah, and that's it. If I open the software update, refresh the screen here, I also have the instances here available, and I'm ready to begin the software update in zOSMF. Last thing, I'd like to show you the knowledge base article, which you can find in our Broadcom support pages. You can just search under CA Horus Software Manager product. You can search among other knowledge base articles and search for migrate SMP environments or zOSMF maybe. If you just search for zOSMF, you should be able to see this knowledge base article, and the whole process which I just demonstrate to you should be described here. And at the very end, you have this migration tool zip file which you can download and play with it. That would be all from me today, and I would hand over back to Elliot.
Thank you, Petter. Good stuff.
Yep, you're welcome.
Yeah, so just to say that it's available, the documentation and the scripts, as a knowledge base article, but once software update is generally available as I say, in October at some point, then we will have a little information on it under the Broadcom CSM pages. So if you go to the CSM documentation, you know, you'll find a little bit of information on software update with a link to this knowledge base article. So let me just, before we go to Dawn, let me just give you just a quick minute here on CSM. So you know, as I'm sure most of you are aware, at the moment we're in a support mode for CSM, which means we're not enhancing it with new features at this time. The idea is that we've been working on our modernization software management initiative, as I pointed out right at the beginning. So that includes not just maintenance, but configuration, acquisition, installation, deployment. As the different pieces come together and we're able to make those available to you, at some point we will end support for CSM. We don't have a date at this time, but as per Broadcom policy, we will make sure that we announce it widely when we do end support. And the announcement, when we announce it, it means that it'll be another 12 months after that announcement date before the end of support actually becomes effective. But that is something that will happen at some point in the future. So I think what our recommendation is certainly that you start to use software update to maintain your zOS software. That for us is best practice. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say on CSM. So I think what I'll do at this point is hand over to Dawn, and she's going to talk a little bit about, I think, next receive order. So Dawn,
yes.
let me hand over to you
Okay.
right now. I'm going to change presenter, and you should now have it.
Okay. Thanks, Elliot and Petter. Okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to first talk about receive order, and if you've
Dawn, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it doesn't look like you're sharing your screen right now.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh, you can see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. All right. Well, now that we've got the CSI migrated into zOSMF, what I want to do is just talk a little bit about receive order. And receive order is what Broadcom recommends as our best practice, where you can use SMP receive command, which will build custom packages of any missing PTFs. It will include hold data and any assigned statements as well. But this receive command will download the PTFs directly to an SMP NTS USS directory and receive them into your global zone. So some of the benefits for using receive order is that you can build custom orders where if you want to select specific PTFs, specific APARs, maybe you just want our critical PTFs or recommended service. But if you're not sure what you want, just using the all type of order will give you everything that you're missing. So that's always the safe one to go with. The benefit to using receive order is that you could set it up with any job scheduler and to automate the acquisition on a regular cadence. So, whatever that cadence happens to be, maybe you set it up weekly or monthly, whatever you feel you need to do. But the jobs themselves run pretty quick. Your order is processed within 10 minutes. And there's just one-time security setup and some network setup that's required. And I've included here a link to our documentation. So if you haven't set up receive order, it's highly recommended that you get set up as part of your, when you start moving to zOSMF. This is really going to help you going forward to transition, especially if you're currently a CSM user. So the other thing I wanted to mention to you is we're providing product information files. And for those of you who aren't familiar with them, is the product information file contains product lifecycle information such as GA date, end of service date, and there's URLs to product pages. So the benefit to importing these product information files into zOSMF is it gives you one place to look to find information about all the products you have installed. I think one thing that's really important is that you can easily search to say, all right, do I have any products that are coming close to an EOS date? The file can be imported directly into zOSMF. So if you've got access to, FTP the file directly into zOSMF, you could use that option, or you can FTP the file from our download server to a data set or a Unix file on your mainframe. I've included a link to the documentation, which has the process that I'm going to briefly show you here. So to access the product information, you're going to access the products from the software management homepage. From there, you're going to select under the actions, there's an action called Receive End of Service Information. So once you click on that, you could, if this is the first time you're going to be adding the product information file, you're going to need to do an add. And here is where you're going to be able to specify, do you want to just directly FTP from, using the URL which has the location of the product information file, or you also have the option to download it directly to your mainframe and then FTP from a data set. So whichever option you choose, once you set it up, it's kind of like a one-time setup that you need to do. And on this next screen, I have, okay, here's an example where I've downloaded the file to a data set. And if I select this, it will retrieve the updated information from that data set. The other option is if you want to, again, FTP directly. So once you click on refresh, what's going to happen is within zOSMF, you'll see all of your products and all of the GA dates as to when those products were released. You'll also see in the screenshot that I've taken, we don't have any that have announced end of service, but if one of these products did announce, you'll be able to see the date that product's going to go end of service. And if you want additional information, you'll be able to click on this link here to access if you want to get directly to our support portal in the product information page, which has additional information about that product. So this, within here, you can easily filter or search, order by date. So it gives you the flexibility to basically, report or, look for any of this type of information right within zOSMF. So that concludes our presentation. Again, just in summary, we've got a new utility which will allow you to migrate your CSIs into zOSMF. We have enabled receive order, which will allow you to acquire PTS on a regular cadence. And we are providing a product information file, which can be imported into zOSMF, which will allow you to manage any of your products that may be approaching EOS. So with that, Len, I'm going to turn it back over to you to see if we have any questions.
All right, thanks, Dawn. We do have a couple questions in the queue, so let me go ahead and read those. The first one, the migration tool is only applicable for CA Chorus, is that correct? If you've never used CA Chorus or CSM, you will still need to go through the zOSMF standard import wizard.
I can answer that. Yes, that's true. That at least the first part of the migration tool, which I showed you, is only applicable to CA Core Software Manager. But if you saw the output, how it looks like from the output from the CSM database, you can easily provide it on your own and run the second part or second Rex script with zOSMF and register any CSI or any SMP environment you want. You don't need to have the CA Core Software Manager for getting this output.
Thanks, Peter. Next question. With Chorus/MSM, a deep knowledge of SMPE is not required. Will we need more SMPE knowledge to use the new software maintenance product?
I can take that, Len. So no, we've deliberately tried to simplify and abstract away some of that sort of the more sort of complicated terminology, and so our hope and the way it's been designed is that software update would be actually easier to use than MSM. So that's certainly our hope, and we're sort of very keen to hear feedback from the community as you begin using software update, because certainly the intention has always been to modernize and simplify the maintenance process.
Thanks, Elliot. Folks, please do type any questions that you have in the questions box. We'll give you a minute to do that. And I'll also remind you that, again, we have a quick survey that's going to pop up at the end of the session. So if you can give us some feedback, I know we'd all really appreciate it. We'll give everyone 30 seconds to type. And if I don't see anything come in, then we'll go ahead and wrap up. All right, I don't see anything coming in, so I think we can go ahead and close this down. Everyone, thank you. We really appreciate you giving us some of your time today. We know how busy everyone is, and to our presenters, thank you very much as well. It was another great session in this series, and we'll see you next time, everybody.
Thank you, Len. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.